Yo, what is up, guys? Hope you guys are having a great morning. I am. Got my coffee, 7 a.m. in the morning. Jess and I are ready to head out. But before we go, let's have a look at that view. What a fantastic view that is. Oh my goodness. Imagine waking up to this. Just beautiful, isn't it?
So many pieces all back together now. What's your vision?
Alright, Jess and I are gonna get ready for breakfast. And then we gotta make another road trip back home. So, see you at breakfast. Now I know you guys probably wondering why I haven't been uploading all this time. The whole reason I bought a laptop is to upload while you travel, right? Well, the thing is, like, this is such a short trip. It was only like 2 days. So I decided just to say, well, let's just spend most of these 2 days. I'll record it and then I'll edit it at home, sort of thing. And at least this way I get to enjoy like this short trip with my girlfriend. It is our anniversary, so I thought, you know, maybe just don't complicate things, just really enjoy it, spend some time with her. And in the end, it's like, that's what thing I'm trying to get at. It's just like, don't let things consume you. Don't let the gym consume you. You know, don't let working out consume you. Don't let your job consume you. Don't let everything consume you. Just have some fun sometimes. It's good to have a break. I think it's, you can't please everyone, but the most important thing is you gotta please yourself. That sounded a bit wrong. See you guys at breakfast. Morning coffee. Need my coffee. Yeah? Oh, so glad I'm having my refeed week now. Imagine having my refeed week like the week after, the week before, or something like that. I would be missing out on so much food. That is what Jess got. I don't know where she got the pancakes from. Here's what I got. Oh. Alright, heading home now, back to our regular lives. I'll see you guys back at Melbourne. And we're back in Melbourne. So glad to be back to this lovely weather we're having right now. Forgot my SD card for my camera, so just using my phone now. I'm just gonna record two things in this workout. I'm just gonna record my bench, and then I'll just let you guys know what my accessories are. So today's workout's pretty simple, just bench, hit up some back, hit up some arms, hit up some shoulders. It's pretty much like that. I'll let you guys know how my workout goes. Alright guys, what's up? Welcome to the narration part of this video. So I'm just going to talk over my workout and some other things as well. So you see me here doing 115. Try to go for 5, like my rep range was 4 to 6, but for some reason I was struggling. This session I just felt like I just wasn't feeling myself. I was feeling kind of weak when I got on the bench. It was just, I don't know, the weight just wasn't going up as fast as I would like, and I was just struggling, and there's no way I should be struggling at this weight. So I think it definitely just got weaker during my cut, and it hasn't been long enough since my refeed, so it should be fine after a while. But there's some other things I want to talk about, and mostly it's about genetics. A lot of people, what they don't understand is, like, they don't really truly understand the what genetics really means. So when people say he has good genetics, they just look at someone like Jeff Side and think, I just assume that they have like good genetics, and that's true. Jeff Side does have good genetics, but genetics is more about just looks. It's about a combination of things. There's height, you have to take into consideration. There's your natural testosterone production. There's muscle insertions, limb
length, so like the length of your arms and your legs, your forearms and your calves. Those things all play a fact into genetics. And the thing is, the best description I could really give bodybuilding is you're trying to cover up your skeletal structure, every part of your skeletal structure as possible with muscle, not including fat. So you're trying to create as much muscle as possible to cover your skeletal structure. And I have a few examples I want to talk about. Alright, so these are a couple examples I'd like to talk about who have good genetics. So let's just, for the sake of this part of the video, just assume that everyone here is natural. Okay? So we're not going to take in steroids, we're just talking about pure genetics. So first off, I want to talk about Jeff's side. So assuming Jeff's side is natural, you can tell by just the way the lats, the muscle of the lats run all the way down to his hip. Now this is what I call good genetics, okay? This is something that's very desirable in bodybuilding. The other thing to look at is look at the shoulders. His shoulder separation, so from each shoulder to the other shoulder, is very wide, and this is nothing to do with muscle. This is with the skeletal structure. So you look at the skeletal-wise, you're looking at the two shoulder joints. They're placed very far away, so the collarbone is very wide. The collarbone is very far away, and then he's got a narrow waist to give him even more of a of that V taper. So if he was to have if someone else was to have the same muscle mass as he does, but with different insertions and a different skeletal structure, they would look completely different compared to Jeff's side. Now, so if you look at Jeff Side's just body shape, that is what we call in the business good genetics. So he's got good genetics. His skeletal structure is very good. He's tall. It's very good in bodybuilding. If you're big and tall, you will look better than most people. So, next good example of good genetics is Christian Guzman. Again, shoulders to waist ratio very high. So it's not just muscle; it's the bone structure. Again, it's just the same thing as Jeff's side. And as you can see here, his lats don't run nearly as low as Jeff's size, but it's still quite low. You can see it goes all the way down to the hips, maybe just slightly above the hips, so giving him that bigger look. Now, this is what now Louis Marco, this is no diss to Louis Marco and the people I'm about to talk about, but Louis Marco has some, what I would say, bad genetics in bodybuilding. And so there are a couple of things I want to talk about with Louis Marco. And in no way, shape, or form am I saying Louis Marco is bad at bodybuilding or is bad at training. I'm just saying he was born with a set of genetics that is undesirable for bodybuilding. So you can see here, looking at his limbs, so his arms and his forearms, they're very long. So he has long forearms, which makes his first of all makes his forearms look small, and then he has a long arm as well, which makes it look even thinner than they actually are. So they could be the same. They could have the same muscle mass as Jeff's side, but since he's got longer arms, they just look smaller. The other thing is the muscle insertion in his biceps. They cut off very short. So they cut off to the point where it's about like almost an inch and a half from the elbow joint. So that in turn makes the arm look even smaller in a relaxed pose. It gives a greater peak when he's flexing, but when he's actually relaxed, it makes his arm look very small. He's got very good shoulders, and I think like muscular wise, but I think he's got quite wide hips as well. So that doesn't really play doesn't help a lot in his bodybuilding sort of physique. And then onto the back, you can see, look at the lats. The lats run very high above the hips. It's almost like 3 to 4 inches above the actual hip bone. So This will, when you are natural and you don't fill out, you don't look thick or big, this will make you look undesirable in a back. It's just, it runs high. It makes that V taper look kind of weird. It doesn't give that V look. It gives more of a curvature look, which some people like, but in true bodybuilding standards, it's an undesirable thing. So, not having the lats run down all the way to the hips is something that you generally don't want. So the insertion point is quite high. Um, so thus making it just makes his back look smaller than it actually is. Well, not smaller, I should say. It just looks more undesirable than it actually is. So moving on again. So this is me before enhancements, and as you can see here, there's not much to look at. I had like a pretty average like kind of build. As you can see here, there's no way you would ever assume I'm on steroids here, because I'm not, and it's just the way it is. So looking at my skeletal structure, my shoulder span between my each shoulder and also the ratio to my hips, I think they're pretty decent. They're pretty good. My shoulders look wider than my hips do, and I have a tight hip to thank for that. Looking at my arms, my forearms are pretty average, but my actual upper arm is very short, giving me a big arm look. My triceps and not particularly my biceps, but relaxed, my triceps look very large, and that's because of a short arm. You can see from my lats that they connect all the way up to my rib cage, and that will give me a small back kind of look. It'll give me a wide look, but it won't give me like a very like desirable bodybuilding look, as I won't have that great of a V taper. I'll just have like a wide look. So now moving on to when I was enhanced. So this is me enhanced, couple weeks into my cycle, and you can see that still that my lats have grown wider, but they don't look. I still don't have that V taper look, and that's just mainly because since my lats run so high, it actually makes my hips look even wider. So instead of getting that V look, I get this hourglass look, and that's something you generally don't want in bodybuilding. Looking at my arms, they still look relatively big since I have short arms. My chest, the insertions don't run very wide, very deep, I should say. And yeah, so that's something to note, that it's just like these things. If the insertions were off by a little bit more, like if they just ran a little bit deeper, I would look so much better in terms of bodybuilding. Now moving on to my back, you can see here that my lats run very high above my lumbar. You can see also that my hips are still very narrow, and the muscles around my back aren't very developed. And the reason for that is, I actually, when I got a blood test, I tested for very low testosterone, 7.9. So the normal test range is 8 to 30, I believe, and I tested just below 8, being the lowest. And naturally for me, if I was to naturally put on muscle, I just wouldn't be able to put on as much muscle as I needed to make my back look big, to make my whole body look big for that matter. And some people just have that genetic lottery, just won that genetic lottery and able to build a lot of muscle just due to because they're able to produce a lot more testosterone. That's just a fact of life, you know. Sometimes life isn't fair, but thanks to the process of modern science, we are able to have these substances that increase testosterone and, you know, help us achieve our what we want in a body physique, right? So I don't think there's anything wrong with using these substances. It's just, you know, personal preference. Sometimes some people need a little help. The world isn't a fair playing field. Some people just need a little bit of help, and not everyone's born with the best genetics. Um, some people were born better than the others. That's not to say like life isn't even, but life is unfair like that, and sometimes you need to do extra stuff to make up for it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this part. I'm gonna sign out. Peace.
Alright guys, hope you guys enjoyed that video. I'm gonna end the vlog here. I know this one is a little bit short, but I didn't get to record everything I wanted, just because of the way things today unfolded and like just the way the timeline unfolded, I guess. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thumbs it up. Comment in the description below. Comment in the comment section below if you have anything to ask me. Subscribe if you want to see more of my stuff, and yeah, as always, happy lifting. I'll see you guys next time.
So many pieces all back together now. What's your vision?